Alright guys, so I'm very glad to say I got an early screening of this movie, and it's one of those movies that I've been very curious about for a long time because you can either do it really right or royally screw it up. The Lone Ranger. Okay, so The Lone Ranger is based off the old originally radio show and then television show that went from black and white and even transitioned into color and was very, very, very popular back in the day. No one has dared really, truly to attempt to adapt him in modern day, and this is the first one to really do so. And how did it fare? I was actually pretty pleasantly surprised. When I first saw this trailer, I'm a Lone Ranger fan. I have pretty much all the episodes on DVD, and so I was like watching the trailer going, oh no. This looked like it was Sherlock Holmesing, if that's a word, where you take classic material that wasn't necessarily action-based, and then you add a crap ton of action scenes, much like the Guy Ritchie Sherlock Holmes. And it does kind of feel like that, but at the same time, it was surprisingly more faithful than a lot of people probably will think. I went into it, and I had a good time. I found myself watching it with a smile on my face because it was just really clever. But I do have 3 complaints about the movie. The first one, I'm just going to establish it. Johnny Depp, I mean Captain Jack Sparrow at this point, because we all know he's not Johnny Depp anymore. He's Captain Jack Sparrow in another role. And Captain Jack Sparrow is playing Tonto in this movie. And is he faithful to the original Tonto, capturing the essence of the character? Because that's the key to these kinds of things. You gotta capture the essence of the character. And did he? Absolutely not. Tonto, he is nothing like the original Tonto, and practically even makes fun of that fact. So it really is not faithful to Tonto in any way, and I don't think does him justice, but a lot of people were laughing in the theater. They were sitting there going, ah ha ha, Tonto made a funny joke and stuff, and it didn't really fit Tonto. But on that note of casting, Armie Hammer as the Lone Ranger is honestly the best casting since the original guy who played the Lone Ranger who could play him, because he during shots looks nearly identical to the original Lone Ranger, and it's really incredible to see. He does a fantastic job as the Lone Ranger, and he kills it. Armie Hammer kills it, although I do feel like they wimped him up a little bit to kind of play up the fact that he doesn't kill, which they didn't really need to wimp him up for it, because he really acts like a wimp during some parts that I'm like, Lone Ranger, you don't act like that. You're the Lone Ranger. You're basically a Western superhero. And, but nonetheless, Armie Hammer is the best casting they could have done for the Lone Ranger, and he nails it. The movie basically is about a rich tycoon who is trying to build the railroad all the way through to the West Coast. And the Lone Ranger and Tonto smell shenanigans afoot. And I bought into the Lone Ranger chemistry very well. I really enjoyed that portion of it. My other complaint is really just the continuity, and there's some spots where they throw continuity straight out the window, and you sit there and go, alright, okay, that doesn't make sense, but alright, keep going, movie. And so that really doesn't work well towards the movie, but nonetheless, I was able to throw that aside and go, okay, this is a big summer movie, and it's goofy, it's fun, it's designed to be a lot like Sherlock Holmes or Pirates of the Caribbean, and we'll let some of those slide, because some of the continuities you have to be looking for. Some of them are pretty in your face. I mean, they really break continuity several times, where my girlfriend in the theater was sitting there and she leaned over to me and was watching the screen and would sit there and say, wait, wasn't that guy supposed to be really, really, really well known, but yet he's just walking around and no one really cares? That kind of thing. It's a fun time at the movies. It's got a lot of big screen moments that you're sitting there going, yeah, I'd watch that in the theater, that looks cool. The last 15 minutes of this movie just absolutely was fun, and it was a total throwback to the Lone Ranger, and you were like, this is the Lone Ranger movie right here. That last 15 minutes of the movie is the Lone Ranger movie. The stuff before it is just kind of set up, and it doesn't even at times feel like the Lone Ranger, but you're sitting there going, this last 15 minutes, this is the Lone Ranger movie as I have always wanted it. And it's amazing that way. And that honestly bumped the movie's score up quite a bit, because I was sitting there going, wow, this 15 minutes is awesome. And every single second of it is a big screen moment. And Gore Verbinski did that perfectly. This movie ultimately, it's got a lot of sweet action, it's got a lot of those funny moments, and I love the kind of message that the Lone Ranger has to put on the mask to essentially become the law, because, like, taking the law into your own hands, because not necessarily everybody that is supposed to be a do-gooder is actually a do-gooder, even, like, all the time, or not all the time. And they really show that, like, people trying to do good can go bad just for the sake of trying to still stay the image of good. And I really like some of those messages that they put in The Lone Ranger. So, you know, I'd love to see where this series goes. I hope it makes enough money. I am really curious about that, actually, is will this film make enough money to warrant a sequel? Despite the fact that The Lone Ranger has been gone a long time out of the media. Is the world ready, per se, or is the world still remembering enough to bring back the Lone Ranger? And for those of you who ask, yes, they do play the dun 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 dun, and when they do, everyone in the theater was just like, yes, it worked perfectly. It was not corny. There were corny moments, and when they did, they addressed it, because they had a few little nods to the whole original Lone Ranger, and when they did those cornier moments about the old Lone Ranger, they flat out addressed it. Not quite fourth wall breaking, but they did, and I was like, oh, I like that, and that really helped the movie. You know, this score is going to seem lower than what you'd think for a movie that would be considered good, but I want to establish, I think this movie's good, I like it, I was entertained by this. I'm going to score this a 65%, can't quite boost it to a 70. In terms of entertainment value, I would say yes, it's a 70, but overall, because the continuity errors are so blatantly obvious that in film school they're flat out like, come on. So, I mean, if this were in film school, they would have knocked him down several notches for some of the continuity. So, you know, I can't boost it up to 70 because of the continuity, but once again, as I said, I still like the movie more than what I scored it because of the fact that those continuity errors kind of knocked it down a couple notches. Okay, so how do you think The Lone Ranger is going to do? Do you think it's going to get a sequel? Comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and you're going to see more reviews coming. The next review I do should be Pacific Rim. Alright, I'll see you guys then.